All right, I'm with Dave today. Dave is the founder of Pair Payments. Dave, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Maddie. Appreciate it.
We had a great conversation a few weeks ago about what your company does. Can you just tell us a little bit about what Pair Payments does?
Well, Pair Payments is an integrated processing solution. We really help companies, keep their costs low with their payment processing programs. But we have some unique products that could really get in there and eliminate, virtually every cost that you have. And in some cases, that's 3 or 4% a month, which really digs into the profit margin. So we've got some solutions to eliminate that completely.
Yeah, and so in more general layman's terms, you help people not pay the credit card fee, right?
Exactly. That's kind of our niche. That's our tagline.
Yeah.
Save the money, put it back in your company.
Yeah, and so a couple things have happened since the last time I spoke to you. We're having more conversations with bariatric clinics who their profitability is either flatlined, plateaued, or it's going down a little because with how inflation's going in the rest of the country, costs
Right.
of doing business, consumables, overhead, those things are going up. But most of these places can't just magically raise their prices like some other industries can.
Right.
Another thing that happened, I went to the tax office to pay the taxes on a vehicle that I bought, and I noticed 2 windows down from me, a lady pulled out and paid with her credit card, and the woman behind the counter said, "Hey, just so you know, there's a convenience fee or something that'll be an extra, I don't know what it was, an extra blank dollars." And the lady didn't miss a beat. She said, "Okay." And that made me think of, you said in state and local government, they've been charging the credit card fee back to the consumer since forever, right?
Oh yeah, for years. Going back 12, 13 years, it's been pretty common practice. Pretty much like gas stations and local state and federal governments have been allowed to do it forever when they kept it away from private business. But that changed back in 2013. Now it's pretty much legal nationwide.
And what percentage of businesses do you think are charging their credit card fee back to the customer?
Right now, well, I have to answer that 2 ways. The businesses weren't very accepting of this about 2 years ago when it was it's been in the marketplace before, and it's been it kind of went and then stopped and went and then stopped, and then about 2 years ago it started to get some traction. So if you're asking for a total percentage, probably about 3% of the marketplace is really doing this process, but that's a massive growth over last year where it was like half of 1%. From in our industry, we went from signing up customers for new accounts. It was like maybe 1 or 2% of the customer base we were signing up. Now it's 90%, and especially in this environment with inflation kind of taking off and cost of goods and services increasing, and even supply chain issues, this product has really taken hold. It's really taken off, and like I said, it's 90% of our new customers now.
Yep. There are a couple people I reached out to say, "Hey, we're curious for credit card processing. How much are you paying in credit card fees every month?" And the average was $5,000 a month in credit card fees.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. So you think, okay, let's break down a bariatric clinic. They're taking a lot of credit cards for office visits, even if that's telemedicine. When people buy supplements, they're paying with credit card. And a lot of places they do enough cash pay that they'll even put that on credit card. So if you have a business that's spending 60 grand a year in credit card fees, if they just walk me through this, if they switched to use a company like you send them new hardware that they use to swipe credit cards, and that automatically tax the fee onto their card and to their receipt. Is that right?
That's exactly what it does. Exactly.
Okay. So what if someone's paying 60 grand a year in credit card fees now? How much would they save if they use something like this?
Basically what it comes down to is their $5,000 a month will turn into about $5 to $10 or $15 a month, and the rest is theirs. They can put back in their pocket.
Wow. I know the first question or concern, I mean, some physicians and clinic managers listening to this, they probably already hung up or X'd out the window because I think they'd be nervous saying, whoa, what would the patient say? What's the patient going to say when they come to the checkout window and they say, oh, it's $84 or it's $150? And just so you know, if you use debit card or cash, there's no convenience fee. But if you use credit card, you're going to get another, few bucks on there. How does that go?
Surprisingly, it doesn't go bad at all. People are very used to these fees now. They're seeing it more and more places. It's actually showing up in restaurants now, which I thought was going to be the last place that this program would work. And mostly because, a lot of people confuse that fee with a built-in tip. So it creates confusion in the restaurant environment. But they're seeing it. It's more common. It's more frequent. And we help them along with that. We don't just like give them the machine and say, see you later. When someone asks, hey, Dave, what's this fee for? We just simply say, with credit card rates going up, our choice was to raise all of our prices, but we really thought that was unfair. And we thought we'd give the customer the choice. So you could pay the fee on the credit card, or you could write a check or pay by cash. And anyone who's remotely reasonable understands that. And and that's why there's really no conflict in the industries that we've worked in. We're just not seeing any pushback anymore. A couple rules that need to be in place. You need to make it obvious. We don't want to trick anyone. We want nothing but transparency. So we put a little sign at the checkout station just so people are aware and see what's going on. And then they just make adult choices, right? They either pay by credit card and accept the fee, because believe me, they want their air miles. They want their rewards, they want their cash back, and they still want it even though there's a fee attached. So as long as they feel like they're not being tricked, and honesty and everything is above board, you really don't get any conflict. And the only thing really, Maddie, that prevents people from doing it, it's generally a personal bias. They say, oh, I don't know if I like this. Whether they like it or not, it really comes down to whether or not your customers are okay with it. And all the math, all the studies that have been done, and just from my own experience, we're just not seeing any pushback at all anymore.
Yeah, I get that. I could see it in the way you present it and frame it to the customer. I think they would say, oh man, I totally get that. Someone's got to pay this fee. If I want to use credit card, I'm gonna pay the fee.
And it's also probably the best time, imaginable, to introduce this, because people, small businesses, and all these companies fall into the small business category, unless you're making, $200 million a year, you're a small business. When you're inside the small business category, people understand that small businesses are being squeezed, and they're much more willing to help now than they had been in the past.
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of people would say, well, we don't want to tack on a little fee. We're just going to raise the cost of the service 3%. But really, you have to raise it more than 3%, because you're going to pay taxes on that income. You're going to pay a higher credit card fee on that charge. All that stuff. That
charge will always outpace your savings because of that, because there's taxes. You're bringing more revenue by raising your price. You bring more revenue, and you're also penalizing people who pay by check and pay by cash. And a lot of those people do it to protect the small business owner. So this is the right way if you're going to do it the right way. And this is the right way to do it. It eliminates the tax burden, because we take the fee prior to it making your account, so that revenue never comes in. It's compliant with state and federal law when you do it that way. And it keeps your books clean too, because if you're charging a convenience fee, when you go to account for that, how are you accounting for extra money that's showing up? And then when the fee comes out, it doesn't always balance 1-to-1, so it creates a little bit of a bookkeeping nightmare. With our program, you charge $500, you get $500.
Absolutely.
And the fee gets put to a separate account to pay off the credit card processing, and that's how we keep it clean and neat and compliant.
Yep. What else does someone get when they sign up with you? So they get a little station. Is there a monitor on there? What does that look like?
Yeah, we could set it up with really any kind of equipment they want. So if they're looking for, like the same type of pin pad you'd see at a Target, where, they sign on the screen, we can get you those. If you're looking for just a regular credit card terminal, we could do virtual terminals, which is just basically they take the credit card, put it right into their computer. We could do online payments. We can do shopping carts, attach it to their website. Any way that they want to accept payment, invoicing, we could do it all.
Can you tell me on one or two industries where you're having great success?
There's quite a few of them now. It's restaurant industry really has taken off with this product. Home inspection industry. Who would have thought that? Home inspectors are living off of this now. We've had one company in particular. They do about 10 million in revenue a year, and their credit card expense was north of 18,000 a month. That's what their fees were. So they were swimming upstream, so to speak. And one of the things that they told us, she said, hey, you know, we have 49 employees and we're about to go to 50. And now we have to, you know, according to, you know, federal law, they're going to have to offer health insurance.
Yeah.
So she said, I don't know where I'm coming up with $200,000 a year, because that's what our contribution to this is going to be. And we looked at her credit card statement and I said, well, maybe we could save you some money there. And I said, hey, you know what, we got this great program. And she looked at it and she had a personal bias against it. And she was like, I don't know if that'll go over well. So I gave her some referrals. I had her talk to some of our other customers. She did a lot of research. She went, I mean, it was like 20 emails, 10 phone calls before she decided, let's go ahead and jump into this. And turns out that if you take that, you know, 18 to 20,000, you're saving about $210,000 to $220,000 a year, and it paid for their company's health insurance for 50 employees. That's actually a feel good thing, you know. I mean, when you're in the credit card industry, you know, nobody wants to talk to us. I mean, it's like, oh, God, it's another one of those guys. But when you have a product that comes along, and it doesn't happen very often in our industry, that legitimately can help a small business grow, and you could reallocate that money to other areas in your business, especially growth, right? Like you said right at the beginning of this podcast, that, you know, you can't just go get new customers. But, well, let me ask you, what if you all of a sudden increased your marketing budget by $6,000 you didn't have? You're going to get more customers.
Yeah.
You know, and that, so it's not just, I don't even see it as really we're saving $6,000. I see it as creating a budget to help your business explode. Right. And, you know, a lot of companies say, I don't have that marketing budget. I mean, you're on that side. So, you know, it's like you're kind of restricted to the income you can work with. But if you could find a new source of income that can really drive people to the business, it's only going to help the business get bigger faster.
Oh, for sure. If you're 60, 70 grand in savings, that's a full-time salesperson you could hire to generate more income.
Exactly. So you can't even think, and in that sense, right, Maddie, you can't even think of it as like, you know, a lot of people say it's a cost of doing business, but there's no cost of doing business for cash. There's no cost of doing business for checks. You have this 3 to 4% cost of doing business for credit cards. But so I see that as really stacking up against your profit margin. If you're 10% profitable and you're giving 4% away to your credit card company, you're giving up 40% of your profit.
Yes.
And if you could take that money and drive business with it, then it's worth way more than 4%. Maybe it's a 10% or 15% increase in your profit margin as a result of what you're able to do with that money.
Man, I think that's a great way to look at it. If you're a clinic that does whatever, $6 million in business, but your net profit at the end of the day is, let's just call it 40%. And then you come and save 4% of that. You just added 10% to your net income.
Right. And then that's serious. It's serious money. And then if you apply that to growth strategies, maybe that adds another 10%, you know, so it's a win-win situation, no matter how you look at it.
Well, man, I love it. And I agree. I have not seen anything like it until I talked to you. And I do think it's the future. I've got no problem eating the credit card fee when I pay. I think lots of people are becoming okay with it. And I think it's all in how you pitch it to the customer. That's it.
And, you know, if you just calmly approach it, you get a calm response, and people just move forward with it without an issue.
Yeah. All right. Well, man, that was great. Anything else I should ask that I'm not thinking of?
No, I think that kind of covers the process. You know, the last thing I would just say to anyone that's out there that's listening is there's nowhere else in your business that you really can look at where if you cut back on cost, you're not going to sacrifice quality and customer service to your employees. This doesn't affect any of that. This can create a large revenue stream back into your business that allows you to keep the quality and provide the customer service that your customers are used to. So to me, it's a win-win. I mean, it's just something you should be doing.
Man, I think it's very interesting, and no doubt we'll be talking to you some more. So I'm going to cut off the recording and then we can say our goodbyes.
All right.